Recording stopped.
Yes, so
Recording in
hi
progress.
everyone. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Good. So good afternoon, everyone, and actually good morning here. It's very late after midnight now, but I think you are afternoon before evening maybe. So I thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk about my research that is based on the single monad model and duality of time theory. And I will be talking about the dynamic formation of dimensions. So this is actually based on research that I've been working on for quite a long time, maybe more than 30 years now. Basically, it was mostly philosophical. And only recently, maybe in the last few years, it has been, I have just put it into some applied methodologies that is based on what I call the duality of time theory. So this is the outline of my talk because time is very short. I will just move quickly. First, I will speak about, I'm sorry, can you see the pointer?
Yes.
Okay, good. So first, I will very quickly mention the foundational postulate of the duality of time and single monad. And then I will see how we can apply this into the complex or hypercomplex time geometry. This is a genuine complex time geometry. And then I will show that this produce or actually give us the same principles of relativity in addition to additional principles that is really necessary to for relativity to become quantized or granular, for space-time to become granular. So I will derive the four principles of what I call quantum relativity. And here I insist on the word derivation because I will show that based on the correspondence principle, the duality of time is reduced into general relativity when we ignore the inner levels or the creation of the recreation is the inner levels of time. So this will be the main subject, and then I will talk about the main consequences and some foundational derivations. And then I will show that this theory or model can really, at least potentially, solve many fundamental problems in physics and cosmology, including the arrow of time, non-locality, cosmological constant, and so on. And then I will compare this model with other known models. And also I will mention some predictions and some future directions. And then I will conclude just by stressing that this model really gives a time as the prime notion that is producing space and even the outer time. The internal time is generating space-time with dimensions, including the spatial dimensions and the temporal dimensions. So I know that the time is very short. That's why I give you here my website, which is smonad.com, and especially if you go to the slash dot, this gives you the main duality of time postulate. So let me start by mentioning the motivation behind this theory or this model. And this actually goes back to pre-Islamic philosophy, although I mainly based my study on el-arabi, but his concept of unity or oneness of being goes back to Plotinus and actually even Parmenides, who said that really he doesn't really believe in motion or multiplicity or variation. Only he believes that only one exists in the ultimate level of existence. And his student Zeno is known to have produced several thought experiments to prove his teacher's ideas, but of course it was not easy to convince other philosophers with this experiment. But basically, Zeno's ideas tell us that whether we take the continuous or the discrete notion of space and time, we will end up with some paradoxes inevitably. So this was summarized by Plato as saying, from the one, only one can proceed. However, Ibn al-Arabi adds, at a time. So this means that in reality, there is only one single entity that is called the monad or the single monad. And then from this ultimate being, the outside existence appears sequentially. And from here comes the duality of time. So we have internal creation, sequential, chronological, and therefore we have levels of time in the inner level. And then these forms, this appears in different forms, which are the cosmos in the end. And then on the outer time, they evolve, and we observe, for example, motion and variation. So what I want to get before I move out of this philosophical basis is that in reality, there is only one single being that has continuous existence, and everything else is created by this monad, and therefore there are internal levels of time and outside or outer time. So this brings us to the duality of time postulate that can be summarized or can be stated as, at every instance of the outward normal level of time that we normally observe, our normal time, the dimensions of space, and actually everything also what is included in space, from matter, particles, and energy and everything is or are being recreated in one chronological sequence, which forms the inner levels of time that are also nested inside the lower dimensions of space. So because we have 3 dimensions of space, these dimensions are generated step by step, actually in 6 steps, because I have shown that each one dimension requires 2 dimensions of time, and therefore 3 dimensions of space requires 6 dimensions of inner time, in addition to the outside time, that is the time that we normally observe. So this is a quick animation of this process. The space is created in internal time in 6 inner levels, but these 6 inner levels cause or produce the 3-dimensional space, and then the frames of space are evolved in the external time. So
5 minutes. 5 minutes.
Thank you very much. Time is running very fast. So this brings us to the time as a real complex or genuinely complex, because now we have inner levels that are the real levels of time and external levels that is the outside level of time. So because now time is running very fast, I have also to move really very fast. This duality of time can be expressed, therefore, in a hyperbolic complex time frame where each frame or at every instance of the outward time, space is composed internally at a constant speed. That is actually the speed of light. And in reality, the speed of light here is for observers that are moving along the outward time, it appears instantaneous, but in reality, it is constant. So we have constant speed that is fixed in the inner time, and externally, at every instant, it's 0, but averaged, it's the normal velocities that we observe. Therefore, this space-time is really Lorentzian and can be, therefore, all the Lorentz transformations and the principles or the equations of relativity, special and general, can be derived from this hypercomplex time. I have shown this in another paper, so I have really to move faster. But here I want to say that based on this, what is the benefit of all this is that now the speed of light is not just supposed to be constant in all directions. It's now logically explained why it is constant, because it's the speed of internal recreation, and therefore it's not related to the time on the outward that we normally experience. So it's constant by, it's actually fixed, and it's not related to the time at all, only related to the creation in the inner time. So in the end, it's even becomes unitless, because it's inner time per outer time. So it is time per time instead of space per time, because space itself is created in time. So it becomes dimensionless and becomes fractal. Even also this process can explain the other principles of relativity, the symmetry of physical laws, especially the between inertial frames. Usually we don't question this, we just take it as a principle, but here it's actually explained because I just shown in the previous graph, in the previous slide, that at every instance, the velocity is zero, only we are averaging, and therefore, no matter how fast we are moving, even for also in non-inertial frames, at every instance it is zero, and therefore the laws becomes, or they are still, they do not change, they are symmetrical. But of course, in the case of non-inertial, we have to take into account the diffeomorphism of geometry. And even here we can explain how this diffeomorphism is really happening. But most important of all this is the fourth principle, that is actually the same relation between energy and mass, the mass energy equivalence relation. This relation can only be derived exactly if we take into account this inner creation in time, because I have shown here very clearly and in a more detailed paper. I'm sorry that I can't really explain everything, but please refer to my website. These papers are published there, and some of them are now under review. So in the inner time, we have only a change of speed from 0 to c, and therefore we get this relation. But on the outer time, we get the normal kinetic energy relation. And this, as I said, can be derived in even different methods. So because now time is running fast, I really have to skip this slide. So maybe you can review it later. And then I will just mention that this new view can explain very nicely how the spatial dimensions are emerging, because now, since time has a primacy over space, it's not really, the theory is based mainly on algebra rather than geometry, because geometry is produced by sequential creation and therefore from numbers. So this theory really explains exactly how the space is created and why it's exactly three-dimensional, and why it is granular, because it's made step by step, it's refreshed. And also it can solve the problem of, at least potentially, the vacuum energy and dark energy. That is because now vacuum has a structure, physical structure, rather than just empty space. And even, for example, the cosmological constant problem can be really very easily, I think it can be very easily resolved, because now we don't have to take the average of vacuum density, because it's now created in steps. So we have to take only the instantaneous energy, and therefore it's reduced by at least 117 orders of magnitude. I've shown this in a specific paper that maybe you can find it on my website. So there are other things that I really have to skip. Maybe you can look at them later. And also here I have written I have shown how we can also use this theory to explain, for example, how the fine structure constant, why it has a specific value, which is 1 over approximately 1 over 37, and why, as I said, why space has 3 dimensions. So all this can be maybe reviewed in this preprint paper. I have to skip, sorry. So here are some equations. Only let me just mention this very, really nice and very simple equation. As I said, because now the space-time is created from sequences, it's just simple algebra rather than geometry. So only we have to take the projection states and how they can spread on different degrees of freedom, basically from this to the power d minus 1, because we have to subtract the null value, and then we sum over space, and then we end up with this specific number that is the inverse of the fine structure number. Even this fraction can be also calculated very nicely and even accurately. And actually, even more than that, since this is a prime number, the theory also shows the distribution of primes, because as I told you, it's now algebraic theory rather than geometric theory. So this distribution of primes can solve even, or show at least, how the zeta function and the distribution of primes using the Riemann hypothesis, at least it can give us some insight on how to prove this. I still don't have a fully rigorous proof of the Riemann hypothesis, but I produced a new framework that can explain or give us some insight how to prove the Riemann hypothesis. In addition to this, also mass gap problem that also maybe you can view it on my website, as I said. So I need to summarize. Sorry, I have to skip. Do I have some more time?
No.
No. Okay, give me 1 minute only.
Sure.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for your patience. Okay, so I mentioned some of all this. Okay, and here is a comparison between this model and the other models. So maybe you can also review it later. As you can see, this model really solves many problems, many fundamental problems, and explains how, most of all, this actually model is based on a very profound philosophical or ontological principles. So it's not just phenomenology. And then some also predictions, maybe you can view them later. And then I would like to just say thank you. This is a conclusion. Also, you can review it for maybe in the video, sorry. And then also I give you here my website. You can see all the information. Only I want to end up with this very spiritual statement by Mohamed el-arabi, who says that the cosmos is imaginary, genuinely imaginary, yet it is in reality real. And whoever understands this fact will truly accomplish all the mysteries of the past. Thank you very much for your attention, and I hope that I gave a very interesting talk to you. Thank you.